start by saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody who has taken out time to be a part of this webinar. When the Coursera team, approached me and they said, "Hey, can you, share something that is relevant for today's, management landscape?" The first thing that came to me was AI. And of course, I do a lot of research in the space of customer experience. So I thought this is a wonderful opportunity for me to dig deeper into what's really happening in this landscape. So what I'm going to share today is a bit of what I have been also learning. And what I've been trying to, in a way, dissect and understand what's really happening in this domain of AI explosion that we are seeing, across all industries. So let me go ahead and share my presentation. So I believe that we have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. So I'll definitely keep some time for answering some of your questions. So feel free to, drop your questions on the chat box, and we'll take it up at the end. All right. So everything about AI seems to be, amazing, efficient, futuristic, dystopian almost. But the question sometimes that arises in a lot of, managers' minds is, can we make AI integration responsible? So as part of today's webinar, I have three broad categories of issues that I'd like to talk about. The first is addressing this whole notion of customer experience and how impactful it really is. And with the advent of AI in the whole journey of customers, what is really changing and what's really the potential of AI in impacting customer experience management. And finally, I will be also talking a little bit about what are some ways in which we can manage the ethical aspects about AI integration. Because clearly, everything that we do for business is not always good for society. So, how can we marry doing good for business and also doing well for society, right? So doing well and doing good. So this is sort of the broad agenda that I have. So let me begin by, posing a question here. I have a very beautiful beachside view. And so let's imagine that you are going on a vacation. Okay. I don't know how many of you have traveled to Phuket. Let's say you want to travel to Phuket. And actually, I don't even know if some of you are actually from there. I may have to go through the chats a little. But let's imagine that, desire to take a vacation, a beach vacation. Now, what do you really think the journey is going to look like, right? And I don't mean your flight journey, okay? I mean, how do you think you would navigate the whole process of, booking a ticket, booking or deciding to even go to Phuket, and then, finally landing up there and, the entire journey, right? So let me just pause for a second. Just can you reflect back on some trip that you recently took? Phuket is, of course, an incidental example that I have here. How did you go about planning of this trip? And does your journey begin when you actually board the flight? Or does your journey begin when you decide that, hey, I think I need a vacation? When does the journey begin? And when does the journey end? Right? Does it end the moment you come back to your hometown? Or does it end after you write a review to the hotel that you stayed in? When does the journey actually end? So, well, when you think about customer's journey, the journey typically begins even at the point where the thought comes that I want a trip, right? That's how we define customer journeys. And the thought could have come because you saw an ad where there was a fantastic package where you found a very budget-friendly, package to travel to Thailand, or it could have come from a friend who recently traveled to Thailand. So, but the point is the journey actually begins way before you actually go and make a decision to travel to a particular destination. Okay. And so, given that the journey is starting way before you actually, take the flight and reach the destination, what do you think really, what do you think, where is the customer experience realized? Okay, let me ask the next question. Do you think customer experience is happening at the point where you decided that I need to travel to Phuket? Or does customer experience happen at the time when you're sitting on the beach and looking at this beautiful sapphire water, or does it happen after you come back? Where is customer experience? Or is it happening everywhere? Again, let me, just give it a pause and, I can see some of you have been trying to tap. All right. So, yes, so Karthikeyan is saying everywhere, customer experience is happening everywhere. That's correct. But what is the experience, right? So let me just I've just given an indicative journey over here. So as I said, you're aware, you probably saw on TV or you saw on your local newspaper a wonderful package that you can take to travel to Phuket, and then you go and do a little bit of search on the internet, and now you have ChatGPT to also come and narrow down choices for you. And then Instagram is learning that you're suddenly interested in beachside destinations, and all of these different kinds of information is bombarding. Finally you narrow down on Phuket, and then you go and book, and etc and etc. So so as I said, the customer experience is happening everywhere. When you look at it, the experience is, the moment you say Phuket, you go and visit, let's say you go and visit the government website of Thailand, right? That's a point of contact that you're making where you're considering the destination. Then you may go and look at Travel Triangle or TripAdvisor or Make My Trip or these kinds of different websites where you're going and trying to understand what's the best package. And then there's a chatbot that comes and asks you, are you a couple, or are you going as a friends group, or are you going as a family? So what is the context, right? So all of these things are happening. At every point, there's an interaction that's happening, right? At every point of the journey, there's an interaction. There's an interaction at the time where you go and book a ticket. So maybe you book the ticket on Skyscanner, and then there's an interaction that's happening during boarding of the flight, right? You're interacting with Thai, maybe airlines, and then there's an interaction that's happening at the hotel, and then there's an interaction that's happening at the time of returning, right? So throughout the point, there are interactions that are happening, and at every point, and during every interaction, there's always these micro evaluations that are happening. So let's just get this right. Customer experience is actually, they're all thoughts, they're all feelings and emotions, right? More than the interaction, it's how you assessed every interaction. So what kinds of emotions did you have? Did you find the chatbot to be quite useful? That was a cognitive thought, right? Did you find the customer support personnel in the hotel to be very sweet, the reception to be very sweet? Well, that's an evaluation. So every micro evaluation that's happening throughout the journey is an experience, right? And so all of these little experiences that are happening finally add up to one total experience, and that's what we really call as customer experience. So customer experience is really the sum total of the emotions and the feelings and the sensorial reactions that you've had to different interactions throughout your journey. So it's actually really complex. It's so many factors could have influenced how you reacted to a certain interaction, right? And so given that this is what customer experience at the core of what it is, the question then is, how big of an, because it seems to involve reactions and emotions, right? So is it really going to impact firm outcomes, right, for a manager? Or is it just simpler to just look at, say, satisfaction? And you have very nice metrics like NPS scores for loyalty or CSAT scores for satisfaction. So is that enough, right? So, well, a lot of people, a lot of influential CX leaders, customer experience leaders, CEO level C-suite leaders have actually recognized, and this has been going on for the last decade. This is not new at all. So obviously, I'm assuming that a lot of you may actually even be aware, but customer experience is the new battlefield today. All right. So how impactful is good experience? So before I show you the facts, let's do a quick pop quiz. Okay. So the first pop quiz, what do you think would be the percentage of customers who will walk away from a brand after one bad experience? Would it be 30% of customers who would walk away after they've had one bad experience? Or is it 45, 25, 60? What do you think the number is?
I have launched the poll on your screen. I request everyone to submit your answers, and it would be really great to discuss all the curious answers that you've had.
Yeah, and you know what? Don't worry about getting it right or wrong. It's the fun of just taking a guess, right? So, what do you think the percentage of customers who walk away from a bad experience would be after one bad experience?
The poll is live for another 30 seconds. Feel free to submit in your answers timely.
Looks like many of you are hesitant.
So here we have, Professor, do you want me to share the results?
Yeah, I'd be curious to see.
Great.
Great. So, I think I'm dealing with a very knowledgeable crowd here. So, can everybody see the poll results as well? Okay.
Yes, it's visible
So,
to everyone.
okay. So let me do the big reveal now. So actually, the number is quite high. About 60% of customers switch to your competitors after just one negative experience with your brand, right? 86% choose to leave after two bad experiences. Okay. And but then if you give a good experience, 65% are likely to become long-term ones, right? So there is like this asymmetric effect to the impact of a good experience and bad experience on satisfaction and loyalty. In fact, experience drives satisfaction and experience drives loyalty in businesses. Okay. Um, and consistent good experience will leave with customers recommending, are more likely to recommend the company 5 times more if they've had consistent and good customer experience, right? So these are numbers that that need to be taken attention to, right? Look at this, all right? Um, so in this slide, you see that there is a certain distribution of, how customers react to a poor experience based on the different sectors. So take a look at this. You find that the percentage of customers who stopped spending after a poor experience was quite high in certain industries. For instance, you take the credit card providers, right? And then you take mobile phone providers. Tolerance seems to be very low, right? In the case of credit card provider, you can, it makes sense because it's a financial service, and people don't want to they don't want mistakes to be done during service, right? And in the case of mobile phone provider, it's just mere inconvenience, because that, using a mobile phone is a very ordinary everyday activity which you don't want stopped or blocked because of bad experience. So these are two different cases, but still you find that in both services, in both industries, the tolerance to bad experience is very high, and the percentage is reflecting that, right? Similarly, health insurance and hospital and medical, people are very sensitive. So a bad experience and you'll walk away and never want to come back, right? And you also find that this is also informing you how decreased the spending became after a poor experience. So this is actually a study which was conducted by Qualtrics, because they have access to so many different industries, and their analysis actually revealed how important delivering a good experience is. So let me ask you another question, right? So I request Varun to pull out the third poll. Okay. So what do you think would be the price premium that customers would be willing to, okay. So Varun, I think it's the next poll. Sorry. Maybe you will have to stop this one and launch the other one. Yeah. So here's another pop quiz that I have for all of you. Okay. What would be the price premium customers are willing to pay for a good experience? Okay. And what I mean by price premium is how much more would they pay, say, for a cup of coffee, if they got a really good experience of coffee, right? So, and same holds good for hotels. So I've just given like a few categories here. What do you think the numbers are? Which category do you think is accurate? You think customers would be willing to pay 15% more for an airline ticket if their airline experience was great? Do you think people would be willing to pay 16% more for just getting a good cup of coffee? Do you think people would be willing to pay, say, 5% more for a great cell phone plan? What do you think, would be the number?
We have another 15 seconds. Please submit your answers. All right, here we go on the results.
All right. So majority people say, well, I think paying 20% more for a good hotel stay seems like a reasonable number. So let me again show you what were the results of this study which they had conducted. Okay. So it might be quite surprising, but people are only willing to pay 14% more for a good hotel stay, but people are willing to pay 16% for a cup of coffee. So that's how powerful a coffee can be for. And so if you create a good experience, and which is something that Starbucks has been doing, you can, it clearly translates into profits. All right. Whereas in the case of cell phone and other things, people are not that generous, it seems. But for food, people seem to be very generous. So, that's what I wanted to show you. So, but the point, what I wanted to really illustrate is that customer experience has a serious and definite impact on firm financials. Okay, whether it is the ability to charge a price premium, whether it is going to affect firms' loyalty, firms' CSAT scores. Customer experience is really the driver to all of this. Take a look at this. Okay. Um, Great customer experience. Companies that have prioritized that have been able to do much better than those that have not. Okay, and companies, they are on an average, their revenues are almost 4 to 8% above market. So this is really the crux of the point, is that creating customer experience, good customer experience, has long-term benefits for the company. And today, every company has specific roles for just customer experience and deciphering customer insights. You know, you'll have companies with customer insights team, you have CX leaders. It's all over the place today. So customer experience is the true battlefield. But is it really easy to create good customer experience? That's the question, right? So, well, there's a lot of evidence which is suggesting that customer experience is damn important. But how easy is it? Well, it's not easy. Okay, and the point is that a study recently found that although lots of companies keep chiming away that, oh, we need to prioritize customer experience, we need to do this, we need to do that, but actually, forget stellar experience, even good experience is really difficult. Okay, why do you think that must be the case? The point is, customer experience is customers to decide. All right. The company can, at best, orchestrate the journey, but the customer is really making the evaluations at every micro moment. So only the customer has the experience. The firm cannot control the experience directly, right? Customers create their own journey, and it's a really dynamic process. And and the customer experience is not just being affected by what you do as a company. Your competitors' actions are also impacting customers. So if Travel Triangle is coming with some kind of a special bot which is interacting with you, TripAdvisor is going to do something better. And the experience they have with TripAdvisor may very well determine how they evaluate their experience with Travel Triangle. So what your competitors are doing is also impacting the customer's experience, right? And customer experience is, as I said, micro moments of interactions along the journey, and therefore the quality of interactions during the journey is very, very important. In fact, the journey matters more than the totality of the experience, right? The sum is actually less than the process. So the end result is not, it's the process which is key in determining the end. So the company at best only orchestrates the experience, but it's actually the customer who finally evaluates the experience. So therefore, obviously, it is very difficult to design, and create positive experience. You can only design for a positive experience. And create or designing for a positive experience requires a customer centric orientation for the entire firm. And that would mean managing operations. So if I want Uber Eats to deliver, a hamburger to my house, I need to be able to, tie up with hotel chains that are able to manage food on demand, right? And I need human resource management in case that there is some support issues that arise during the delivery of service. Marketing is very important. I need to be able to understand which segments to target and how to customize offerings for different segments. And of course, I need a very robust data analytics team, IT team, to manage all the data. And the more data I have, the more richer my insights would be for tailoring the service. So it's a wholesome shift in thinking at an organizational level that is required in managing your customer's experience. So if customer experience is not so easy to create, then what is actually driving great experiences, and what is that secret ingredient which really matters for customer experience management? So this is a question that has been studied a lot, and the factor that keeps coming again and again and again is empathy. Okay, experiences that are designed with empathy tend to be more more promising, tend to be more rewarding for the firm than those that are just simply mindlessly automated for the customer. So, you can see here once again, this is a this graph that you see here is again from the Qualtrics study, which was conducted, and 62% of customers believe that they wanted businesses to care more about them. Okay, 60% of consumers would buy more because of that. So empathy is really the secret magic formula for creating stellar customer experiences. And another study which looked at this was a study by PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they looked at what are the most important factors that drive great customer experience. And what did they find? They found that the top factors that customers really cared about, which they were also willing to pay, the most for, was friendly service, knowledgeable service, convenience, efficiency, easy payment. And then you have human interaction and personalization and all of these things. So in the decreasing order of the size of the bubbles, you can see how which factors are most important and least important. So there are two factors here. One is that there needs to be a human connection, there needs to be empathy, and there needs to be some kind of human to human emotion, emotional touch in the journey, emotional connect in the journey, which is what is reflecting as friendly service, knowledgeable service, and things like that. The other thing which is reflecting is customers want smart and fast, efficient service, right? Anything that's smart, anything that's efficient, anything that makes their life easy. That's what's really giving and contributing to customer experience. So in marketing, we keep talking about value, right? Value is our favorite word. You go ask any marketer, they're probably going to say their favorite word is value. And every CMO is probably going to talk about value a million times in whichever place they go and address a talk. Now, where does this value really come from? It's actually in factors like this: efficient and easy, smart and efficient, easy to use, making my life simple, and also a human empathetic connection in the journey. So these three things are critical when driving customer experience. So at this juncture is where I want to dive into the world of AI. Okay, so AI is actually, in a way, addresses two of these three things that I just said. AI is efficient, AI is smart. Is AI empathetic? Well, I'm not too sure. But as of now, I can count my desk and say AI is definitely efficient, right? And AI's potential in influencing or improving the customer experience management is phenomenal. The first thing that that we've been hearing continuously, and I'm sure some of you have been following these conversations around AI, the first thing you associate AI with is hyper personalization, right? Personalizing every individual's preferences and catering to their needs exactly the way they want. That is hyper personalization, and AI has the ability to do that. Giving stellar customer support. So today you make a phone call and the first thing that you hear is a bot which asks you, what is your problem? And even before you're redirected to a human, you have to first answer the bot. But with, so a bot which can analyze customer data to predict and prevent issues. AI is cost effective. AI improves efficiency through automation. Okay, and predictive maintenance and resource optimization. AI is also wonderful in managing workforce and knowledge management within the company, and also ensuring consistent brand experiences. So I just want to give a few examples of how AI has managed to revolutionize the CX space through the following things. So I'm sure everybody who's attending today, watches Netflix, right? And obviously, Netflix has, mastered the art of, recommendation systems and to some extent personalization. Instagram, personally, the moment you start looking at for a, for clothes or for a certain, hobby, you will find that it's only recommending more and more. And Instagram has got really good at understanding our preferences. So the point is that all of these are examples of personalization where the feed that you see, the content that you see is so unique just for you. And in fact, customers expect and want personalization. You will be surprised to see that, a majority of customers across the globe actually expect it. In fact, I was quite surprised to see India taking the lead when it came to personalization. And this was a report by BCG. But the point is, customers want personalization, and personalization has its benefits. People, when companies implement a great personalization strategy, it is shown to increase customer purchase by 67%, and it has shown that customer loyalty improves by 71%. But the real catch is here, okay? Most firms today are suboptimal when it comes to personalization because of bad personalization. So if you're receiving or if you're having algorithms to shoot out emails to your clients addressing their names 3 times in a week, that's not personalization. That's terrible personalization. Okay, you're just spamming their inbox with irrelevant content. Take another example. Can you imagine how frustrated a young woman would be if she just bought baby clothes to gift somebody else, but ends up getting targeted ads on, pregnancy or pregnancy-related products? That would be quite frustrating, right? In fact, even these suboptimal recommendation systems where they show what others have bought based on how the lookalikes of yourself. Others like you have also bought X, Y, and Z with zero context behind why you've been purchasing that particular product. These are all actually bad examples of personalization. And therefore, if these kinds of things are being done, probably you wouldn't see these numbers. Okay. So the point of personalization is again coming back to that original idea of value that I was speaking about earlier. Customers want benefits out of personalization as much as companies are looking to make profits. It has to be a win-win for both, parties. So how can we personalize offerings to actually create value is the hardcore question that every marketer, every manager needs to really sit down and think. So, for example, how does one do that? So the first way to think about personalization is how can you give more control to the customer so that they choose they have the agency to decide what is it that they'd like to see and what it is that they would like to avoid. So empowering the customer is one of the most fundamental things about personalization. So being able to self-manage their own app dashboards is an example of empowerment. Okay. Firms should also really put more efforts into understanding the customers. So, for example, understanding their fit preferences. If an online retail e-commerce store should actually put in effort to understand fashion style and fit preferences of customers, and connecting them at the right moment at the right place. So in India, we have this wonderful company, a platform based app called Big Basket, which brings all kinds of food supplies and provisions into your doorstep based on when within like 20 minutes, within 10 minutes of ordering. And what Big Basket has mastered is that they are really good at predicting when is the household supply getting, short, when is the household supply getting limited, and they actually send you reminders on what is it that you're actually running short of. And they're also they also send notifications on products that you probably missed adding to your cart because you have a history of ordering a certain way. So reaching at the right place and right time is another fundamental part of hyper personalization. It's also important that the content which is shown to the customer is actually relevant and is curated to understand what the customer is really looking for. So mindlessly sending recommendations on lookalikes or mindlessly spamming the folder for things which are not really relevant to the customer would actually be suboptimal. And of course, you have delighting customers positively. So, for example, Taj Hotels is very, very good at using the guest history to curate a unique check-in process, and they have a fantastic way in which they greet customers and, give a human touch and delight the customers during the stay of the hotel. So, this is a nice how do you empower customers, how do you know and reach and show the relevant content are all important things to consider while developing a personalization strategy for customers. AI has been phenomenal in reshaping customer support, right? So for example, AI has mastered how to intelligently search for content. AI has dynamically recommends information, and AI is in fact revolutionizing how human customer support agents are actually complementing and adding value to resolving different issues by using AI support. And AI has also been revolutionary in being predicting and proactively supporting customers. So, for example, AI can automatically send nudges and alerts to customers. Hey, we noticed XYZ, would you like help on certain things? So, proactively preempting what could be an issue that arises for a customer and actually taking steps to address when it comes to customer support. All right. And given that AI is phenomenal in integrating data, AI can obviously feedback whatever analytics and analysis that's being done back into the product roadmap decision. So if any improvements need to be done on a product, AI's inputs from customer support can actually play a major role. So AI's role in customer support has been phenomenal. AI has also made breakthroughs in improving efficiency, productivity, and cost reduction. So, for instance, Amazon warehouse, they use robots to be able to optimize routes within the warehouse and and detect defects or damages on merchandise. And so 60% of orders of Amazon Prime customers were delivered on the same day in 60 US metropolitan cities. And here you have Klarna, which is a buy now, pay later business firm, which gives these kinds of payment solutions. And they were able to find that because of AI assisted support, repeat queries fell down by a good 25% because all issues were resolved with higher accuracy. And the speed of the service also phenomenally improved. So AI resolved queries and understood what exactly the queries was in just 2 minutes, which would otherwise take 11 minutes for human agents. So AI has made breakthrough in various domains. Here I have, a graph to indicate how important, the extent to which AI has improved productivity in different sectors. And what you can make out from this graph is that the greatest improvement which has happened because of AI integration is coming in IT services in healthcare, retail, and banking. You find that the bubble size, the biggest for IT services. So major revolution of AI happening in the IT and healthcare, retail, and banking space. As I mentioned, AI also has multiple impacts on workforce management, on how employees are able to better use AI for resolving various issues, for maintaining brand experience consistency, because AI has the data to be consistent across different channels. Customers may be switching from digital channels to physical channels and back to digital channels again. So how AI has obviously revolutionized the space of how it can maintain consistent experiences. So I'm just going to skip this and move on because we are sort of running. I'm noticing that we're running a little short of time. So this is what I summarized quickly about what AI has actually done to the space of customer experience management. Okay. And here I have a screenshot of the different kinds of AI startups that have come in the last 5-10 years. And you can see that it's just boomed. The space has just boomed. Okay. But obviously, not everything that glitters is gold. So AI has its own set of pitfalls. So obviously, when we want to personalize experiences, the first issue that comes is how do we maintain privacy? How do we ensure that we provide better experiences without violating trust? And trust is a major issue when it comes to AI integration because by nature, humans trust solutions less than human solutions. And there is also the issue of firms being tempted to over automate mindless application of chatbots simply because they think it's going to improve productivity. But the point is that's not really the case. And there's also another fundamental issue of bias and fairness risks. So let me just, I have a nice visual diagram to really, reflect on whether AI in customer experience is an ally or is it really an adversary, right? It is definitely ally because it can personalize, it can preempt solutions, it's very data rich and efficient, but it's obviously more biased because AI is all about how good your data is. So if your data is biased, the solutions are biased. In fact, a lot of firms don't even have a thorough knowledge of how to use AI tools. Employees are not given enough training to use AI tools. So there's a significant lack of understanding about how to even use AI efficiently. And there is this issue of AI not having a human connect. So the broad question is, how can you actually enhance human experience given that AI actually has all of these positives, and how do you tackle these so-called adversarial aspects to AI? And this is where I want to briefly talk a little bit about how can we make AI integration more responsible. Okay. So I have I have a take on this, and this is what I believe is required of responsible AI integration for customer experience management. So first of all, how good is your data, and is your AI systems, are they treating your customers fairly? That's a question that needs to be pondered at every stage of the journey. Okay. Can you explain why AI is, leading or giving a particular solution to address a certain problem? Most of the times, AI algorithms is a black box, and firms or managers find it very hard to interpret AI's solutions. Who is accountable when AI goes wrong, right? Is it the human, or is it the bot. And in my opinion, humans should always have the upper hand. It should always be humans first, and humans are accountable, not the AI. Security and privacy are also really important. Security in the form of, do you have enough measures to make sure the data that you are actually using has not been sold or marketed without the consent of consumers? And privacy is, to what extent is the data got from the consent of customers? Okay, and how well have you protected the data? And at the end of the day, and this is really important, which is whatever AI integration that you do, whether it is to hyper personalize, whether it is to make your systems more efficient, whether it is to improve customer support, do you have the welfare of your customers in mind? This is really the governing factor. Welfare of customers comes above everything else, above profit. All right. So how do you really go about with these governing factors? How can one really go about implementing a responsible AI integration? Okay, so I have a 5-step process, and I think for lack of time, I'm going to just give a few examples and move on. So I'm calling it connect, reimagine, activate, fulfill, and test. Okay, so what do I mean by connect? Connect is to do with the data. Are you context sensitive? Are you context aware of what customers are really looking for? So if customers' pain point is faster delivery, Amazon can actually offer an alternative seller who caters to that need and not mindlessly spam the customer without addressing the core issue and the core pain point in hand. Okay. Another example of how can you connect data in a context sensitive way is, can you detect, can AI, can AI actually detect that there is some issue related to the product when there are repeated product queries, as opposed to just sending or prompting customers to upgrade into some other add-on, which may not be the solution that they're really looking for. So how can you make your data analytics more context sensitive is what I refer to as connect. Okay. Reimagine value. So when we talk about the journey, it's important that we put healthy nudges at different points. So, for example, the AI can actually predict the customer's needs in terms of what was actually, for instance, if the customer is conscious about not buying fast fashion, actually suggest more options for that, whereas instead of just doing a flash sale alert and actually feeding into customer fatigue in the late night hours. So instead of AI riding on impulse buying, can AI make customers act more mindfully, act more consciously, so that in the long run it's actually creating value for both the customers and for the firm? The other important thing is, how do you actually cultivate good friction and avoid bad friction in the journey? So what do I mean by friction is, everybody thinks that customer experience needs to be smooth, everything needs to be automated, and the customer is just sitting back in autopilot mode, right? But that's not the case. Sometimes the customer needs to get in and make choices, and the choices need to be in the form of good friction points and not bad friction points. Good friction points are those that give customers autonomy, right? And bad friction points disempower customers. So for example, the moment customers have gone through all their social media feed, can the AI actually come in and tell them that, hey, you've actually gone through all new feeds and you're done here, to discourage addictive scrolling? That's a way in which you responsibly, integrate AI to benefit customers, keeping customer welfare in mind. And an example of a bad friction is, a couple of years back, what WhatsApp did. WhatsApp, after it was acquired by Meta, they decided to change the terms of privacy, right? And everybody were forced to accept the terms and conditions of their privacy policy, and we had no other choice. And that was a bad, a friction point, because it actually it left you feeling helpless and disempowered. So that would be an example of a bad friction point. And finally, fulfilling, the entire experience with context sensitivity is, something that is again a mark of responsible AI integration, as opposed to blindly, throwing content which is not context sensitive. For example, like the example of the young woman who bought, baby wear for her friend. So therefore, context sensitivity, good friction points and nudges, keeping in mind the welfare of customers, is something that needs to be fed into the system. And that's very much a function of what kind of data do you actually have. If you are beginning with biased data, well, you're not going to get fair solutions, and you're not going to be able to, decode accountability and explainability of the AI's model. So one way in which all of this can actually be tied together is firms can think of implementing customer experience labs, almost like doing an A/B testing, where they are able to test, and the only solution is to test relentlessly, because like I said, customer experience is formed throughout the journey. So it's important that testing happens all along, and you could have small little, groups of internal users themselves, who could be, for whom the entire AI application could be tested, and assessing all the promises and pitfalls of AI. And the most important thing is, how can we ensure that there is a AI plus human, interaction that's happening to actually provide the final design of the customer experience journey. So, so this is, again, my opinion is firms should start developing customer experience labs, where they can actually go and do these kinds of small tests to understand where is welfare and value actually being created. So I'm just coming back to the same example, which is, how I reimagine a responsible AI interaction in the travel example that we started. So I have this, presentation where I think, a responsible AI would, in the case of pre-travel preparation, once I've booked tickets, for instance, will give me updates about what are the accessible options in, Phuket, and what is the local cultural etiquette that I'm supposed to know of. Is there any kind of language translation? What kind of preparation do I really need to do when I'm there? Is there some system where my safety can be monitored? So here are examples of how you find that welfare comes above other issues. So with this, I think I'll just take a pause, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mahadevan, for the wonderful presentation and insightful discussion. Thank you, everyone, for attending throughout this presentation. We would invite everyone to submit your questions, and we'll try to answer them momentarily. So might be possible, due to time restrictions, we might not be able to take a lot of questions, but we will be able to, take as much as we can. So Karthikeyan has a question that, Professor Ma'am, you said about government agency has decreased, stopped spending after poor experience. We should really have this as the agency, and public utility should be considered here, as they act as monopoly. For that matter, even government universities are monopoly, and we don't deny an admission just because of their customer experience.
Okay. Was that could you just
Yeah.
what
So
was the
for that
question?
matter, even government universities are monopoly, and because they, offer some certain bad experience, we don't deny admission because of the poor customer experience.
Yeah, and I think that again, it goes back, it reflects back on the kind of data that you're collecting, right? So if you know, in fact, in many cases where there is judgment, today AI is also being used for taking judgment on different criminal cases, right? And
Yeah.
if you have a systematic, data which systematically shows that a certain race has been, creating crimes, then that's obviously going to give a biased decision. So at the end of the day, your AI's recommendation and solutions is only as good as your data. So yeah.
Sense. Parth has a question. How can we create a healthy customer experience using a balance of human and AI resources, as not all answers given by AI can be satisfactory?
Yeah, so I think that this is my personal opinion. I do not think that AI can take the lead ahead. I think that would be quite catastrophic. So while AI can improve, maintenance services, can improve the automation of services, the supervision of solutions, and the inputs to strategization should be done by humans and not AI itself. And I think that constantly there should be a human touch throughout the journey, where the human is taking a stock of what is really happening or what is really being done through the AI.
Makes sense. Atanu has a question. Is AI will AI replace human in some sector? If yes, which sector it could be? And if no, then why?
um I feel that it's really hard to say that AI will replace humans completely in any sector, but there will be tasks where AI is probably replacing, right? So there may be tasks like you know typists, right? Typists and research summarization and maybe even presentation creation. Those kinds of tasks and job roles will probably change entirely, and then you will have new job roles that emerge where your role as a in the firm is no longer to really be creating AI and analyzing, sorry, not creating presentations and analyzing data, but more to do with what do you make sense out of it, what is the AI really giving, and how do you interpret it. So I think that at the end of the day, critical thinking, whichever sector critical thinking is there, will never get replaced and should never get replaced.
All right. Ashwin has a question. Can you please provide specific real world example of how a company used a strategy to improve customer metric? What challenges they can face and how they can overcome?
I think that there are plenty of examples. So, for instance, the one example that's coming to my mind is Starbucks is doing a fantastic job. They have a AI, a system called Deep Brew. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you can go and check it out. So, Deep Brew is an AI, algorithm which accurately tries to understand what kind of coffee a customer buys and what should be the temperature of the machine in the physical store for that particular customer, and when is the customer likely to come and visit the store. And so Starbucks has actually done a phenomenal job of using AI in their customer experience management. Yeah.
That's a great example. We'll be taking up last question as we are a little too much towards the end. Taimur from Pakistan is an IT support officer in five-star hotel in Islamabad, Pakistan. He wants to ask that how AI can replace IT support work, example in hotel sector.
So as I was mentioning some of the examples in my slide, so a lot of the IT support would be, right now most of them are in the form. So if somebody is checking into a hotel, they would want to know, details about the hotel. So typically what we are currently familiar with in the form of static FAQs and static, content, which is typically there on websites, can now be changed into a dynamic conversation. So if there's a complex, so firstly, there are two issues when it comes to IT support. One is that solutions can be now dynamic and real time as opposed to static. And the second thing is, even when solutions are very complex, yeah, the people who are handling, the humans who are handling the solutions can in real time interact with AI to come up with better solutions. And this way, you're reducing the time to resolve, which is again one of the metrics which you'd probably be tracked on.
That's really amazing. Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We hope you found the session insightful and enriching. Recording will be made available to all, and a special thanks for Professor Mahadevan for sharing her expertise, valuable insights on AI and customer experiences. If you have any more questions or feedback, feel free to reach us through the provided contact channels in the chat, and stay tuned for more such informative sessions from SPJIMR and Coursera. Have a great day ahead, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, team.